Hello and welcome to Infinite Transcendence. Today I want to talk about why you do not need college. I've been wanting to talk about this one for a while because this is one of the major mantras. I touched on it early on in one of my very beginning earlier shows, earlier articles about why you don't need to go to college, why you need to avoid the life script, or why you should avoid the life script. And this one is a major one because as the vast majority of people have heard throughout their lives, unless you're much older, you got to go to college. It's something you need to do. It's one of the main mantras. It's drilled in your head. It's basically religion. It's up there with getting a house and getting married. It's something you need to do because it's an important part of life. It's a great experience. You need a good job from it. And all these other reasons. And I'm here to argue why this is all BS and why you should not go, at least in the vast majority of cases. Do not do what the majority does and do not follow the crowd. Just because the crowd says you need to do something, don't do it because you end up regretting it later. So why is college a waste of time? Why should you avoid going? At least, again, in a vast majority of cases. Well, the biggest reason of all is the huge drain of time and resources. College, of course, is very expensive. The debt is over college is over $1.5 trillion. $1 trillion is a million times a million. That's $1 million a million times, or $1 billion 1,000 times. So basically, you wouldn't even live a trillion seconds. That's a lot of money. That outdoes credit card debt. So it's one of the largest debts in the nation. It's increased faster than the rate of inflation, and the cost for public tuition in an in-state college nowadays for a four-year school is almost $10,000 per year on average. Just $10,000. So when you look at a four-year degree, you're talking 40 grand. And on top of that, most people don't go to college just for 4 years anymore. Many people go to college for up to 6 years. So how much does that cost? Especially include tuition, room and board, books, and everything else. That's a lot of debt. That's approaching into the housing territory. And that's for an average school. That's not a private school. That's not out of state. That's an in-state school. That's a tremendous investment, and these debts are very expensive. You can't absolve it in bankruptcy. Once you get it, you're done. You have to pay a lot of money, and I know a lot of people who pay over $1,000 a month in tuition is going to these expensive schools. And the reason why is it so expensive? Well, the reason it's why people are told to do it, because one, you have a lot of government programs that encourage going to school that give you automatic loans. When you have something automatically guaranteed, as you know, the price goes up, just like housing. So when anybody can go to school and get a degree, and when the government guarantees the money for it, no matter what degree they get and whatever else, without the free market keeping that in check, you get very, very high prices. I mean, after all, everybody's going and everybody can afford it, so the prices jack up. And by the same effect, unfortunately, that also means the degree is worth less, because if everybody has a degree, what is a degree worth? If degrees are a dime a dozen, if everybody goes, how do you differentiate yourself from the crowd? You still have no skills, and in many cases, you're overemployed or overqualified, I should say. And on top of that, if the job opportunities are weakening because of the recession, because of all the other stuff we have going on in our society, degrees don't create jobs out of thin air. So just because you get a degree doesn't mean a job is going to pop out of thin air waiting for you. You have to look at the market and what's going on. And if you have a lot of qualifications, a lot of degrees, a lot of people might not want to hire because they're going to think you want to be paid more. They're going to think you're going to be more hassle than a person who could do the same job for less or without that degree. So you end up basically having a mortgage that you can't absolve in bankruptcy. So that's another thing you want to look at. You want to look at the value that goes down and the cost that goes up, and also a lot of these colleges, not to mention the staff are paid a tremendous amount with a huge amount of money they get for these tuitions. These colleges can make a lot of money. These colleges have 10,000 people on campus a lot of the times, or somewhere around that, 5,000. So you have 5,000 students, $10,000 per year per student. That's what, $50 million a year? Yeah. About $50 million per year for a student campus. Where does this money go? Well, a lot of these staff members are getting paid a lot, and a lot of these colleges, these professors are making six figures or beyond six figures just to be a teacher. A lot of these admin are making well into the six figures. A lot of them have their assistants making a lot of money. And on top of that, a lot of these schools have amenities and all kinds of things, gyms and all this stuff to make it like a club. It's almost like a club med, a spa experience. It's like one big vacation, one big expensive fancy vacation. It's less about education. You don't need all these fancy amenities and things like that. Not nowadays. We have internet and all this technology where you can get information for free, and all the education you could possibly want for free at the click of a button. YouTube videos, heck, even colleges like Harvard put out information for free. You can look up online, and you can even audit classes for free. You can go to schools and audit the classes and pay nothing. That you can just sit in a class and just audit the entire class. They won't bother you. Now, you won't get a degree that way, but what's a degree worth in most cases, anyways? So it's definitely a tremendous expense, and also it's a time expense. And of course, on this site, we know time is very valuable. So that's 4 to 6 years. 4 to 6 years of gaining no real skills, having pretty much no experience. So think about this. If you didn't go to school, if you finish after high school, and you started working, you could have worked up, built your own skills, got a decent job, made 20K, 30K, 40K, lived at home debt free, cost free for a few years, saved up money, got a used car, get yourself a place, you get an apartment, whatever, and you're saving up money. You're debt free, saving up cash. You have cash. You have more options. You can work your way up. You can start a business. You can start an online business or another business. And the businesses are cheaper than ever to start, especially online. See, the things you could have done at a low, you'd have had a learning experience. You'd have gotten out there in the world and done something. And on top of that, figured out what you want to do. Maybe to figure out you did want to go to college because you've gotten out there and gotten some experience. Whereas the person who goes to school as a kid, they have no experience, no knowledge of what they want to do. They rack up a lot of debt. They come out, they have no skills. They're in their early to pushing mid-20s. And they got 40,000, 20 to 40 plus, maybe even 50, 60 plus thousand in debt. I know some people who have about 100,000 in debt. Now, does that seem like a wise investment just to be indoctrinated in a classroom? I'd argue it's not. So, and another reason is the brainwashing about college. College has a very specific agenda, and modern college is very liberal. It's very, very politically correct. So, pro gay, pro black, pro minority, pro women. And as a person who believes that or knows that your life is whatever you make of it yourself, it can be annoying even even if you're in a special interest group, because I don't need to be indoctrinated with a bunch of things in college. And I even sometimes go to a local college just to get some work done, like at the library if I'm out on the road. And you even hear these colleges with these like study groups talking about how people are victims, and you have colleges giving out really crazy statistics, telling you need a degree to do anything in life. A lot of these professors, of course, they believe in security, and a lot of them are government workers, so they believe in a lot of security. They believe in big government. They believe in all these things, and that's why these colleges have such a liberal slant to it. It's one big indoctrination center, just like the previous school was. How can college teach you to think for yourself? If anything, part of being an adult is thinking for yourself and making your own life what you want out of it, not being told what to think. And a lot of these degrees, these studies degrees, are just Ponzi schemes. You essentially go and learn this stuff, and then you get taught this stuff, and then you basically regurgitate it to somebody else that has no value to society other than reteaching the same thing, which makes it essentially worthless. So and only go. That's another reason. Also, only go if your degree profession requires it. Like, for instance, obviously, doctor, law, a lot of STEM majors, those things require. I said they were an engineer without a degree. They made $80K a year. But if you require it, then yes, go. If it's a good investment on time for the career you're getting because it's going to pay really well, then yes, it's a good idea to go, because you got to look at the investment. And that's how you should look at college. Like anything else you spend time on, an investment. Am I going to get a good paying job for the money I spend? Is it worth the time for the money I spend? Do I need the degree? If not, I'd say you don't go. And basically, I'd say damn near nobody goes except people who want to get serious majors. Or you're getting maybe a scholarship, but even then you have to look at the time investment, because look, a lot about the world's most successful people in many cases didn't go to school or dropped out of high school or college. Well, at least back in the day, you probably dropped out of high school. Now you probably go through high school, but they dropped out of college. They were C students. They say C students rule the A students. So it's about getting out there, taking risk, getting out of the comfort zone, thinking for yourself. These are the traits of people who are successful, not sitting in school and just getting a degree just because. And another thing, people go to college, oh, well, it's a social experience. I mean, you don't need college to socialize. That's ludicrous. The money you're spending in college, you could have gone out and done all kinds of things. You could have gotten a nice car. You could have gone and taken people out, gone out with friends. You can even go up to the local college. Get a parking pass. Stay there. Stay for a while. Meet people. Mingle. You can still go to parties. You can still do all of that stuff. You can get out, travel the world, see new things. Those are experiences worth mentioning versus just being indoctrinated in school. You can go out and socialize and meet people anywhere. To get out of the idea that you need to go to specific places to meet people, and just get out and go meet people. You have social media. You have online. There's no excuse for not meeting people. You do not need to go to college to go on dates and meet girls or meet guys or do any of that stuff. You can have all those experiences without it. Be open to meeting people anywhere, not just in school. What you don't want to do in life is just carve your own path. Don't be a follower. Think for yourself. Get out there and get out of this propaganda brainwashing mentality. They tell you that you need school to succeed. If you don't go, you're a failure. You're only a failure if you make yourself a failure. So make your life the best it can be. And let me know how you feel about this in a video or the audio or on the article. Like, subscribe, leave comments. Subscribe to the newsletter to get more new and interesting content and transcend infinitely.